Hello, my name is Bethan. In this video we will consider the impacts of management on grassland. Grassland covers about 40% of the UK and most of that is intensively managed for agriculture. Only 1% is considered to be of high ecological value. Intensive grassland is regularly reseeded with ryegrass and clover to produce large quantities of biomass high in protein and carbohydrate. The grassland is treated regularly with weed killer and fertiliser, and waterlogged grassland is fitted with field drains. These practices ensure high grazing and silage production for livestock. Silage is grass that is compacted and stored in airtight conditions to preserve it, normally for winter feed. Now you might say, why not manage grassland less intensively for the benefit of biodiversity? And that is exactly what is happening in some parts of the UK with financial incentives for farmers. However, some might argue that if we reduce agricultural productivity in Northern Europe, we risk putting more strain on the most biodiverse regions of the world, such as those around the equator, to meet our food needs. Research suggests if we eat less meat, we will require less global land for agriculture, as this graphic demonstrates. If you would like to know more about these issues, you might be interested in our future food MOOC. So what does grassland of high ecological value look like? First, there is very little ryegrass and white clover, 10% at the most. And there is high species richness, more than 15 species of wildflowers and grasses per square metre. Looking at the species composition of grassland gives us clues about the environmental conditions and the management. Species that are considered a negative presence because they thrive in fertilised grassland and outcompete wildflowers are creeping buttercup, docks, nettles, thistles and bracken. What can you tell looking at the grassland around this water trough? It's obviously very compacted where the cows have congregated. And a bit further from the trough we see big patches of nettles, probably there because of the concentration of manure and urine deposited as cows wait for the trough or move away. What about this hillside? Do you see how the fields on the edge are bright green, whilst the field in the middle is browner and rougher in texture? This suggests that fields at the edge are fertilised and probably cut regularly for silage, whilst the middle field is less intensively managed, probably because it's too steep for a tractor. One of the most important considerations in ecologically rich grassland is the right balance of grazing. If there is too much grazing, it compacts the soil and prevents wildflowers from flowering and seeding. You can see here on the steep slope how the feet of livestock have damaged the turf. If there is not enough grazing, however, then the competitive species we mentioned earlier, such as docks, thistles and nettles, are able to take over. And this is the natural process of ecological succession, and the grassland will turn to woodland if grazing is removed. This has started to happen in this field, and so the farmer has cut back the vegetation to allow the grass to return. However, it is valuable for grassland to have some patches of woody shrubs and trees because they provide shelter and nesting sites to animals feeding on the grasslands. For example, insect pollinators and insect and seed feeding birds. A good grazing balance also ensures that there are patches of longer grass to provide food and shelter for invertebrates, small mammals, amphibians and reptiles. For this reason, long grass is also important in urban grasslands, for example garden lawns, parks and roadside verges. Less regular mowing is also better for the environment as it saves money and fuel. A charity called Plant Life has a campaign called No Mow May to encourage people to mow less. This can sometimes be controversial as some people think unmown grass looks messy or attracts wind-blown litter or dog mess. One solution is to continue mowing paths and borders but leave the rest to grow long. So that's an introduction to some of the issues in grassland management. You could have a go at designing an experiment to investigate the ecological value of grasslands in your area. Let us know how you get on.